The Horn of Africa is getting the epicenter of global attentions, with many nations showing growing interest to engage in it. And in this regard, I'm going to spend some time with Dr. Melaku Game, and he will help us shed more light into the matter. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Addis Dialogue. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Let me jump right into the matter and ask you this question, Dr. Melaku. How important is the Horn of Africa as we speak, and how popular is it getting nowadays, especially among the so-called superpowers?
Yeah, you're right. It's a very important region, but we have to define which countries constitute the Horn of Africa, why it is called a horn. And then when you look at the geography of it, it just looks like a horn. And then countries that constitute the Horn of Africa are about 7, 8, starting from Eritrea, Sudan, Ethiopia, Kenya, Djibouti, Somalia. And these are the countries constituting the Horn of Africa. And the situation, the geopolitical situation of those countries, where the countries are located are bounding the Indian Ocean, Red Sea, and then passing through Suez Canal into Mediterranean. So this is what makes it very, very, very strategically important in the world, not even one of the most strategically geopolitical important location.
Why is the Horn of Africa becoming so vital? And can we say that we're witnessing this scramble for the Horn of Africa?
Yeah, this has been started historically. If you have to go back to 1800s. So as Suez Canal was constructed, it's a 193-kilometer canal that was constructed, and it's a lot of invasions to control the Suez Canal. And the entrance to Suez Canal is from Indian Ocean through the Red Sea is the main contributors through Suez Canal and Mediterranean. And then when you look at what that constitutes into the world's global traffic of ships, is about 19,000 ships passes through that, carrying about 12% of global trade passes through this waterway. And then about 30% of the global container traffic passes through this. And the recent example is as the recent ship blocked the canal is evident for how important it is. So this is important for commerce and military, and also the commodity of oil and LNG.
And where is Ethiopia now in this regard, and what should its roles and its stance be like?
To answer that question, we have to go back a bit. Why is Ethiopia become to what it is right now? So historically, if you build up our political transitions from the 1974, 91, 2018, that constitutes, there's a lot of interest into the region, to control the region. And then in order to control the region, the important country under the Horn of Africa is Ethiopia. So Ethiopia has to be kept weak by all means. And we witnessed that throughout the last 50, 60, possibly longer than that. And then the Ethiopia's location, this is vital because Ethiopia has never been colonized. And then Ethiopia is traditionally, if you go back, in 630 BC, where it is called Abyssinian, it used to dominate from today's Sudan into the pyramid of Egypt, into Syria, and into Middle East, into Yemen, and then also into Somalia. And that historical predominance is still vital and vivid to the interest of the West and the Asian countries. So that's why Ethiopia is the focus of this regional problem that we are facing today.
And what are some of the benefits that you see that Ethiopia can draw on simply because it is part of the Horn of Africa?
Indeed, if you bring the time to where we are right now, the world is changing. It's just very, very evident. The reference for it is if you refer to the book written by Ray Dialogue. It's called The Changing World, and then he's putting it with very clearly with an economic of the regional superpowers. And then he narrates in the books from the Dutch era, the British era, to American era now, to the Asian era, very depictedly kept with how it is interrelated to the economic of those superpowers. And right now we're living into a multipolarity transition world. The world changes, changing in front of our eyes. So the Ethiopia's role, or the regional role here, is very, very vital, and then the region has to be ready to use this opportunity to elevate itself diplomatically and commerce and to various relationships.
And on the other hand, what are some of the lurking dangers that you see?
We're going to make a mistake if we unilaterally try to face this situation. So it should be a regional approach to this problem, because it is easier if you are the only country trying to deal with these interests of the West, the US and the European, and now the upcoming Asians. You can include into that China, Asian countries, as well as the emerging India. So, and on both ways, still the geopolitics is vital. Our region, the Horn of Africa, connects Europe and Asia. So we have to be very important and work more diplomatically, and then the region has to elevate itself economically to become for a vital force to sit on a diplomatic table.
And what are some of the roles being played by the regional bloc IGAD?
Let me explain to you what I'm doing with IGAD. So IGAD adopted the project called Comprehensive Hospital and Regional Cancer Center of Excellence. As we have been doing some entrepreneurial and charity work in Ethiopia, so we were asked to come up with a regional project by Mr. Diallo, is the former Undersecretary General under Kofi Annan. So with that, we created this regional comprehensive hospital and cancer center project, and that is designed to bring regional integration from 8 IGAD member countries. And then this regional integration is vital for medical, traffic, tourism, and as well as economy of scale of negotiation power. And IGAD constitutes 270, close to 300 million population, and that is a huge power in any negotiation and a commerce that you want to build. And in this regard, IGAD has a vital role to play, and then it has been renewing itself and elevating itself as a regional bloc. And if we lend some of the experiences of the ASEANs, so the ASEAN 10 countries bloc is doing very well, even though they have differences within their own bloc. The same is here within IGAD regional countries, but the ASEANs are protecting their interests over the superpowers. For example, they trade with China, but they will try to stay also with the West power, but still they are together. They are preventing or defending their rights and their interests over the West's pressure over the ASEAN countries. Yeah. So IGAD should continue, I think, the same way by leading the way to bringing the regional countries together and lead the way, and then be prepared to deal with this transition as smooth as possible.
So can you tell me more about this regional center that you are heading, which is also your brainchild?
The regional center is called Comprehensive Hospital and IGAD Regional Cancer Center of Excellence. In the short, we call it IRCCE, IGAD Regional Cancer Center of Excellence, because That is a catchful phrase. And then the website is ircce.org. And the center is going to be built in Addis, over 200,000 square meter area. It's going to cover an oncology park, a very strong diagnostic hospital, which was including surgical oncology. And then that will prepare the patients, those who have cancers, to be treated in a cancer wing of the hospital, which has a medical oncology and medical oncology as well as radiation oncology. And then we're aspiring the center to have about 13 bunkers. And then that is for the largest radiation oncology center, Sub-Saharan Africa, under one roof. And then also we will embed a cyclotron to produce isotopes for PET scan, for example. And then the cyclotron is a small accelerator. You accelerate and then you remove the electron, the atom, and then equip it into the liquid that you're preparing to inject for diagnostics. So that will have that department as well, called cyclotron. And then further we'll have residents for visiting physicians as well as visiting patients from neighboring countries, as well as it will incorporate a postgraduate institute. So we'll have a lot of medical schools around the region, and then what we're lacking is a fellowship, tertiary care fellowship level, and then we could provide that for laboratory and pathology. We'll provide that for radiation oncology. We'll provide our medical oncology and hematology. We'll provide fellowship for radiation oncology and also an allied health for nurses, oncology nurses, hematology nurses, radiation oncology, radiation nurses, and then that will be under one roof.
What are some of the success stories so far, and what are some of the challenges that you are facing?
Why it is important? Why do we need it? Is it only just the regional integration in health that we're aspiring? No, the answer is, if you look at the cancer burden in Sub-Saharan Africa around the IGAD region is enormous. So cancer kills more than HIV, TB combined in our region, in the IGAD region. So in order to mitigate this we call it upcoming slow tsunami, so we have to bring the region together. So in order to provide the best care, then the region has to come together, because building a cancer center is very, very expensive. But taking our examples, how we provide cancer care in Canada, the IGAD's radius is about 2 hours away from Addis. The farthest that you can go is Kampala. So within 2 hours of flight radius, you have 270-300 million catchment. So a central regional cancer of centers works very well. And then the way it is designed is to support the national programs of each country. Where there is one, you improve it. Where there is none, you help them start. Because this center is going to provide a manpower, research center, and also a procurement center for cancer-related drugs and consumables. So we'll try to bring the cost of cancer care in the region as low as possible so that the population can afford it.
And how eco-friendly is this cancer center, this regional cancer center? And what are some of the benefits that it is providing for the people residing around the center?
So through the land that we're provided, there's a small creek going through, which is carrying a contaminator from the neighborhood. Yeah. And then the center will have water treatment as well as water conservation center. And then that creek will be cleaned up and released for urban farmers to grow vegetables, and then which the urban population can consume, vegetables like lettuces, carrots, and tomatoes, and cucumbers, and potatoes, such like, which you can produce. And then they would benefit from those social responsibility of the center, which is going to support the urban farmers downstream.
And what are some of the ways that you are raising awareness of this august facility that you are building among Ethiopians and, of course, among the continent. This is a regional and continental facility, right?
It is.
Yeah.
We have, but not widely because of COVID. As we started, COVID came and then it gave us a little of a break over 2 years now. But within this, we were present in Durban, South Africa for African Free Trade Zone meeting. And then we also presented through the IGAD's Secretariat Executives to African Union, as well as we were also present with our executive, the IGAD executive, Dr. Wargana in Brussels, to bring it, what it is endorsed through the African Infrastructure Project to the European Commission. Because the region is more important to Europeans than anyone else, because of Africa's growth is more vital to Europe than any other continent, because it's a jump to Europe. And if Africa is not strengthened, especially this region is not strengthened, IGAD will be, Europe will be flooded with unwanted migrants. So it's into their own interest.
What roles should the diaspora communities and Africans play in order to, support this wonderful, wonderful facility?
The diaspora and the Ethiopians already have been supporting the centers through their governments by providing a free land to IGAD countries. This is a gift to IGAD countries. So Ethiopia already welcomed the project. And then also further support has been placed by various institutions from Ministry of Health and Customs and Regulation authorities, because it has to be regulated, and then it brings more of a regional regulation into the medicine, as well as harmonization of education and training. And then the center, the region will come more closer in various ways, from central procurement gives you a power to negotiate with companies, as well as once you have the regional procurement, and then it attracts also companies to produce drugs either in Ethiopia or the neighboring countries to supply the center and vis-a-vis the wider regional.
Regional integration is vital for the entire region, the entire Horn of Africa region. So how should the regional bloc IGAD, help, especially when it comes to creating a stronger link, a stronger connection among the countries in the region?
IGAD has been instrumental in bringing the countries together because it has been approved through its various political organs, from Health Desk, Parliamentary, Ambassador's Desk, as well as Health Ministers and Foreign Ministers, and then Head of States level. So it has a regional approval as a regional project. And this is also recognized by African Union as an infrastructure project. And by recognizing this, the Ethiopian government, where the seat of the center is going to be Addis Ababa, has donated to IGAD countries a very significant amount of land. And then the project will then include the seat of the center will be in Addis Ababa, but it will have the first one in the world in an oncology park. So when I say that oncology park is, the center will treat the creek which is going through the land, which is contaminated water will be cleared up, and then artificial lakes will be created, and then within this park we'll set up kiosks which is supported by audio video, and then we'll provide cancer related informations with different languages from Swahili, French, Somali, Amharic, English, and what the regional population requires and information to. So this is the first one in the world, and then we'll situate it here in Addis. Further to that, the center will have a very strong diagnostic and surgical oncology presence, so that it can produce a tertiary care level of care for the medical oncology and radiation oncology, as well as malignant hematology part. So this will be supported by a strong laboratory services, and also supported overall by its own postgraduate institute. So the center will train manpower needed, not only for the region, but also for wider Africa.
Dr. Melaku Game, thank you so much for your wonderful, wonderful ideas.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, dear viewers, with that, we come to the end of today's program, and thank you indeed for your company so far. Until I see you next time with yet another program, it's goodbye from me. Shifar Halaka.